Girl. All right, okay, we're about to begin the Mental Threads Podcast, episode 109. I'm here with Miss, if you'd like to introduce yourself, please.
Say Carrie.
Yes, Say Carrie. Well, that's weird. Say isn't Say like a boy's name? Like Say, isn't that what you named the first boy?
Okay, so I know depending on your ethnic group in Liberia, it is in for you who are watching, Say is a Liberian West African name. So depending on what your ethnic group is, it has different meanings. So I know like what T just stated, I know it can be a Gio or Mano name, and Say means first boy. However, I'm from the Bassa and Kron ethnic group, and it means something completely different, and it can be a boy and a girl's name. So actually my name should be spelled with two e's, Saye, but my parents dropped the second e and it's just Say. However, the meaning of the name that I have, it means to speak, beautiful one who speaks, or to pay debt.
Okay, that's nice. That's great. It's crazy how there's so many different ethnic groups, and that's crazy. I didn't know that you were Kron and everything. I thought because Jeremy's like Mandingo, right?
No, Jeremy and I are first cousins. So my mother and his mom are siblings. And
Oh, okay.
rest in peace to my auntie, and happy birthday to her, happy birth anniversary to her. They are Conga and Loma.
Oh, Congo
Yes,
Lorma. Oh,
yes.
okay.
And then on my dad's side, I am Bassa and Kron.
Oh, so you're going with your dad's side. Okay, wait, what was Jeremy's side again? Lorma and what?
That's my side too. So my maternal, Jeremy is from my maternal side of family.
Oh,
So our grandparents, our maternal grandparents, his grandparents, they are also my grandparents. Our grandma was a Conga woman, and then our grandfather was a Loma man. Yes.
okay. Why you kept saying he was Mandingo? My gosh, I mean, goodness.
And then on my father's side is Bassa and Kron.
Oh, okay, well, dang, that's crazy. Because,
Mhm.
I'm mono, obviously, full blooded, both sides. My dad was mono, my mom was mono. They said that you're Kron. Yeah, that's kind of a little bit awkward with the whole Civil War situation. I haven't been to Liberia. Has the relations gotten a little bit better since the Civil War?
I'm not sure because I wasn't around during, I've been here, so I don't know like what has happened. I was born and raised in the United States, so is that climate still going on, the conflict or clashing between the ethnic groups? I'm not sure, but from my understanding, you don't in 2022, you don't see that as much as how it was in the past.
But the scars do still linger, like in regards to the Civil War. Even like
Of,
economically, they
of
still
course,
settle in, which is
of
really
course.
sad too, because it's like like Kron and Mono folk, we kind of live kind of close with each other,
Hmm.
within the same county and stuff of that
Hmm.
nature. So it's I
Yeah,
think what Kron was Grand Gede, right? Was it what did
Grand
Kron
Jide.
Grand Shide? Yeah, that's right next door to like Nimba County, correct?
And River Cess, where my paternal grandmother is from, River Cess is right below Nimba.
Um,
Sometimes I've even gotten mistaken for a Nimba person, a Nimba woman. And I know growing up, one of this Liberian person stated I look like a Mana woman, a Mana girl growing up. And I know one time somebody said the way how the shape of my nose, it looks like I'm from Nimba County. I said, okay, well, we're one of the same. We're
yeah.
from the eastern part of Liberia.
Yeah, so it's like we're gonna clash and have some kind of like similarities to some degree or another, and everything. I'm not too familiar with ethnic groups to really say like who's who based on like what their facial looks like or whatnot. But honestly, I guess I usually base things on personality. Like one of my Liberian friends said, "Oh yeah, I'm Pele," so okay, you're obviously Pele. Because when I think about Pele people, I think that they're just like peaceful, chill type of people. They don't really bother with nobody or nothing, from my impression. But I don't really know every Pele person to know how everybody's different and whatnot. So it's just
Yeah,
like like yeah, like what's your experience with different ethnic groups and everything? Like, what was your impression and whatnot?
I mean, it depends. Again, there's good and bad in all ethnic groups and so forth. And from having that experience with other Liberian folk, is especially when you're in the United States, we're more so looking at each other as Liberians, and we're not looking at each other as our ethnic groups. Although we will mention like, oh, I'm a Conga person, I'm Loma, I'm Mano, I'm Gio, Pele, Kisi. It's more so like, this is my fellow Liberian brother or sister.
Yeah, which is the mindset we should pretty much carry into a lot more. But considering how we all are still human beings at the same time, there's certain like, oh yeah, that's why he's like this because he's like that, or that's why because he was brought up like that. I feel like upbringing does play a lot into a lot of our characteristics and whatnot. Like for instance, like I'm a mono man. Like I grew up like mono. My family were mono, so it's like my exposure to Liberian, like like for instance, like mono folk, like we're very educated, but at the same time what comes with that, like we're kind of like, in my opinion, I feel like a lot of us are kind of head ass to a certain degree. Like we think like we know way too much, to the point where it's like we don't humble ourselves when listening to other people, which could bring about a lot of conflict within our tribe as a whole too. I feel like, but at the same time, we're still very loving and caring people. We're very loyal people, but it's like what really messes us up as a people, from my perspective, it's like we kind of at a time like when you're very head ass about yourself, or you think about everything, you have a tendency to overstep boundaries and feel like that really shouldn't be overstepped. That can kind of bleed into being kind of looked upon as being selfish, and when we're not. Sometimes we have that tendency where we really have issues seeing from other people's perspective, and I feel like a lot of us children who are kind of raised under that household, I feel like that's kind of built into us as a strength. We learn to like really vocalize our ideas and our points of views, and also listen from other people's points of view without judging people as much because we were exposed to that. Is there anything from your upbringing that you kind of notice, any kind of trends or patterns and everything?
Well, growing up, born, as I stated before, I was born in Queens, New York, Far Rockaway, Queens, New York. I grew up in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and growing up, my parents, of course, they exposed us to our Liberian culture, and from I know like from the 90s, because I'm in my early 30s, so I was born in 1990, and during that time it was a civil war going on. So like throughout my childhood, unfortunately, it was a civil war that was going on, but that unfortunately that occurred, and it was more so like my parents showing us how to cook the food, learning about the food, or like this dish is popular among this ethnic group and so forth. And then at the same time, it's like I come from different ethnic groups in Liberia. So like coming from 4 ethnic groups, it's just, I embrace it. There's good and bad in all of them, because as I said before, I'm Kron, Loma, Bassa, and Conga. So I know there's the Conga versus natives, that that historical piece of Liberia and so forth. Also having grandfathers, indigenous grandfathers, they come from the interior, however, they went down to Monserrato County and they were raised by Miracle Liberian or Conga people. And so that experience, and of course, there was discrimination that was going on, but there were indigenous people who had opportunities, and who were in position of power during that time. And again, however, everybody's story is different. And not to deflect that, they were indigenous people who were oppressed and who face discrimination.
Yeah, it's a whole lot with the going when actually observing it from like a different perspective, because I didn't grow up in Liberia to really know firsthand what the relations were or what the problems were. I just kind of read about it, look deeper in it, and you kind of just see like what seeds brought about what. I feel like a lot of the conflicts are kind of born from a lot of the ideologies that they pushed here in America throughout the American slaves. And when you internalize that within yourself, that you're better than people because of like, okay, let's just say like a pigmentation, or you think that they're more civilized and everything, you have a tendency to look down. If they came in with the mindset like, okay, I'm reconnecting with my roots, I'm reconnecting with these people. They can probably show me another side of myself I didn't know about, which probably a couple of them probably did, but without like the arrogance of thinking like, oh no, they can't do this, they can't do that, because they didn't have an
or they're primitive and saying that.
Yeah, but it's just like, being primitive, it could be seen in two different ways. You can see a very peaceful group of people who don't really need the sense of guns or whatever, need to grab people or throw them into a boat to, like, that could be seen as primitive, like treating human beings like less than people, or saying that they're half people, putting them in a boat in all types of conditions, making them work in your field, that's kind of seen as primitive behavior also when you look at it that way. But it all depends on how you see it. So it's just like, it's just one of those situations where we really need to have a conversation. And really, we pretty much understand what's what or what led to what, but really finding a solution to really reverse a lot of this, because it's going to take a step to step to really pushing that forward. It's not just here in Liberia, but also the diaspora of Africans all over the world, like this self-hatred, because now it's leading to us killing our own people and everything. And that's just not just in Africa, but also in the States also,
Absolutely.
And it's just like when I talk about things like that with even other African people, like, with the gangs in like America, they kind of reflect tribalism in Africa to an extent, because you got to keep in mind that a lot of these Black American folks were literally stolen from their culture. They had to create a new culture, a new identity within an environment that wants them dead, emasculated, or just put in prison, and when you have to survive in that field, it's going to reflect in that field. Your environment, once you grow up in a certain environment, you're going to reflect that environment and everything. So that's just my stance with that. But since you're pretty much got intermixed with all the different cultures, because that's crazy that you got like, Kron, Bassa, Congo, and Lorma all mixed into one. So that's all so many different tribes that you're actually seeing. Would you say, which tribe do you say that you pretty much a little bit more close to out of the four?
I can't really answer that question, because I embrace all of it. It's just growing up. I know sometimes, I guess, I think with the Liberian culture, you will take after what your dad is, or take after, like, for instance, okay, I guess I will like take what my my maternal grandfather is, and then what my paternal grandfather was. So I'll be Kron and Loma, and I get it from a cultural aspect, but my my paternal grandma and my maternal grandma helped to create me. They also was a part of who I am, my identity. So I just embraced all four. And growing up, my parents, just told us to just embrace and appreciate what we are. So I don't necessarily have what I'm closer to, maybe to an extent, like, yeah, I can, having those four ethnic groups, or it just made me to become more of a Pan-African, and made me to appreciate Africa and the African diaspora, because of my connections, and like the type of conga that my maternal grandma was. Her parents or her grandparents came from Barbados, and they repatriated to Liberia. Some people don't know that. What I know is usually people think of freed Black Americans or African Americans repatriating to Liberia. There were a chunk of Caribbean
people. Barbados people, Caribbean
Bajans,
people. Yeah, I noticed, because like when I spoke to a Barbados person, everything, a lot of their accents are kind of similar to. They're kind of laid back and everything. How they with their English, because we all got. Well, what's a Liberian English called? I know it starts with a K. It's a
Colloqua.
Yeah, Colloqua. Like it's all very similar and everything. When I thought like that, I thought he was from Liberia. He said, "No, I'm from Barbados." Like,
yeah.
What?
That's English based. We all that's English based Creole right there.
Yeah.
There's even when you speak to a Gullah Geechee person, the Gullah people from South Carolina, the Carolinas, that coast, and even the Sea Island Creoles, the way how they speak, they sound similar to Liberian people. They even say "fatru" as well. They say "fatru," and we say "fatru."
Oh yeah, that's crazy similarities right there.
Yeah.
So it really makes you think, like, really, we're not that far from each other when you think about it.
Exactly.
But it's just like, it's just sad, because once we actually start focusing on, sorry, there's like a mosquito here. Oh, gosh, it's like a whole kind of bit my arm. Oh my God. It's all right. Nasty. Anyway, yeah, man, it's just one of those situations where it's like, like really, like, I feel like the more we create more bridges to reconnect with the diaspora, where they might be in Brazil or the Caribbean or the Americas in general, I feel like we need to push that direction, especially within these times now, because considering how crazy like even America's getting and everything right
Oh
now,
yeah.
and which has always been crazy for us, but I feel like now that we're kind of wised up to like to see not since who the enemy is, but since what we need to work on as a people, I feel like we need to really work on relying on ourselves and
Yes.
everything, and like I feel like Africa is becoming more and more of a victim of it. Like, let's really get back into reinvesting into our people, not just the land and like the diamonds, whatever. Let's reinvest into our identity, because once you really don't have an understanding of who you are or what your significance is, or just spiritually and just everything in general, you're going to be bound to be taken advantage of. When you look at the Middle Eastern people and everything, just for them saying like, no, we want more money for gas or everything, like the whole world would change. I just went to the gas station, went up 40 cents now. Just like the news that OPEC was just about to raise money for gas, just that, because they have a sense of identity and respect for themselves that a lot of us really don't share. And I'm like, what? Because I feel like a lot of that is because of their religion, and like with Islam and everything. They have more respect for the masculine energy in the household. That's one thing I noticed. They have more of they value each other as a whole, as a community, and even like then they value their God. They respect their God so heavily and everything. Where it's like, I'm not try to look down on Christianity or anything else, but I look at that society like, bro, like they have so much respect for themselves and how they carry themselves that you can't exploit them. You can't exploit like a Muslim man or woman and everything for their resources and everything without them having to put up a fight for it. So it's like, this is one of those things we need to learn from people like that, because it's like, they're closest on the same continent as we are, and they don't seem to be having as much as an issue. So it's just one of those things. But I just want to ask you about certain trends. What are some trends like in Liberia that I feel like that we need to change as a people in order to improve our people?
So a certain, I think we have to start using our own resources.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I know there's a rice shortage, or the bag of rice have increased again from the ones the rice that's coming from outside the country. And it's history repeating itself again, because that happened during the late President Tolbert's administration, with the rice increasing the rice price. And then there was a protest. There was the rice riots. People protest about it, and some people got killed, unfortunately. But I mean, again, people have their opinions on him or whatnot. From my understanding and what I read, I feel that he was one of the greatest presidents in Liberia, William Tolbert. Because reason why I'm saying this, because first, although he was a Congo person or a Miracle Liberian person, he thought he showed Liberians to be proud of their indigenous backgrounds.
Yeah, he kept pushing that. I know my grandfather mentioned that was his favorite president in Liberia too.
Like pushing, like dressing in your traditional wear, wearing a country cloth, and so forth, and it's not wearing the suits and the Western wear, and so forth. And also pushing to have a national indigenous language. I believe it was supposed to be Pele, because I think it's easiest to learn. So that to be our indigenous national language in Liberia. So that's some good things, some good qualities, and then push to like us to use our own resources. And I think it's the same thing again, like Liberia has a lot of resources. It's just, you have to maybe just have the support, and you have to do it. Because I know there are people who are doing, for instance, there's this lady, a wonderful lady who I follow on YouTube. Her name is Zawadi M, and she has several businesses in Liberia, Ghana, and other African countries. So she's trying to get people to invest in Liberia and create businesses. She and my cousin Stefan, they started community, a community in Brewerville, where, you know, some African Americans and other Liberians, other Africans had created this community. They're still in construction, but they're building that together, even have a resort that they're working on. So that is going to bring that's going to bring money into Liberia's economy.
Yeah, that's good. That's what I always be thinking about. We need to create more resorts and everything. Because Ghana and like even Nigeria, like people, that would be like the places people want to go to. They want to think about where would you want to visit, either South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, and just places like that. It sucks like Liberia doesn't even really reach on that list as much because like literally that's little America right there. Like their main language is English, so it's like it wouldn't be hard to communicate and everything. Although maybe like the accent, the Khalil might be a little bit of a throw off, but it's not that big a deal. You know, it's like, you know, it's just to think like really like, you know, like even with the Black Americans here in America, they don't even realize how crazy like Liberia, that's literally their country when you think about it, because it was found just for them and everything. And we really just had that mindset we could like really reinvest and like literally put all our dollars into going to Liberia and everything, the way that we buy Louis Vuitton, where we buy all these heavy fast cars and everything. If we really reinvested in our own country and really reinvest in our own continent as a whole, starting with Liberia, moving back to Liberia, buying some property, you know, why not? It's like build a little like what you call it, they call it plane station. What do you call a plane station? I'm so air station. What is it called?
You talking about airport?
Airport, yeah. Oh my God, that's an airplane. Anyway, airport, just stuff like that. You know, like it's just cool. Why are we leaving Liberia to go to Europe just to fly back to America? You know,
yeah.
Like,
so I mean, there's Roberts Field Airport.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunately they don't have a direct flight since the Civil War. They stopped flying directly from before, back in the 80s, like back in the day, you would fly from JFK to Monrovia to Roberts Field. But unfortunately, they don't do that. So you either have to go through Brussels, through Europe to get to Liberia, or you can go from JFK to Accra, Ghana, and then from Accra to Monrovia to Roberts Field Airport.
Yeah, man, it's just like it's really sad because like this Civil War really messed us up badly. But it's like there are other countries that had Civil War and they were able to bounce back. Like
exactly.
Even Rwanda. They made a whole movie on Rwanda with the whole Rwanda with the Tutsis and everything. And it's like now they're like the Singapore of Africa when you think about it. So it's like really, what's the problem with us really? Like why do we have seen the struggle with that? Is it the literacy rate? Is it just poor leadership? I feel like it might just be poor leadership.
And also we don't some Liberians don't like themselves. There's a self-hate that's going on, don't appreciate one another too. That's a part of it too. So that's some Liberians suffer from self-hate and they feel, you know, they will respect other people, but then don't want to respect their own selves.
Yeah, man, not their own group of people and everything. And it's just like, you know, like I wear my culture on my shoulder, like really. Like it's just I might not wear a flag on a t-shirt every day and everything, but every time I think about the future or everything, even in the present, I'm thinking like, how could this elevate my people? What can I do to be like a better, you know, like of the diaspora and everything? Because then you see people like Kwity Paye in NFL who literally got traded to the Colts and everything. And he mentioned they bring up things like the Civil War. Like people don't realize how bad the Civil War was for us. Like we had back-to-back Civil Wars. Even my mom would go to detail. I want to get her on the podcast eventually to really go into detail because it's like, you know, my dad left a little bit earlier and everything to come to the States, I think, so he could be able to, you know, be a doctor or whatever, or learn to be a doctor, you know, but things got messed up. But it's just like, you know, like really, it's just like some of our parents have legit PTSD. And we had to be raised under people who had legit PTSD, which can manifest in all types of ways. Not like you had to hear shooting noise and people go crazy. It's like, no, sometimes it could be like not really being able to manage your aggression in a way that's actually, you know, more palpable, not being able to, you know, be able to voice your opinion. You know, just like some people, it happened when they were really young too. So they carry certain aspects of the character that might be a little bit childish all the way up into adulthood. And, you know, it's just like just certain things of that nature that you don't realize. and everything. And then there's some people who don't seem to have it because they didn't really go through the Civil War. Like trauma is so crazy. Mental health is so crazy, but I feel like a lot of us we don't really focus on that in the Liberian community. What's your thoughts on that?
I agree. And it's not just Liberian community, it's Black people as a whole. Being around Liberian, other African, West African people, Sub-Saharan African people, Afro-Caribbeans, Afro-Latins, Black American, African American people, it's considered taboo in our race and throughout all those cultures within our race. Considered taboo. Then a lot of us Black folk do not want to discuss it. They shy away from it. It's just something. It's just they feel like shame. It's they're feeling shame whenever that is in regards. But my thing is, yes, praying to God, praying about it, leaving in God's hands. That's important. However, you have to connect. You have to speak to somebody, who are professional in that field. Just like how if you get sick, if you have a cold or you get sick. If you're physically sick, aren't you going to go to the doctor? If you need to go to do your checkup or do a blood work, you go to the doctor for that. But then if you're going through some kind of trauma or something that happened traumatically, you would need to speak to a therapist, and that's something that we have to work on. I don't know if that's seen as weakness or whatnot, but
I don't really see it as like weakness per se. I feel like it's just there's like because it's like for instance like people like in our culture believe in black magic or all that. So it's like when people like go crazy, they think that they're being controlled by like a spirit, or something like that. So it's like, I feel like education on like mental illness and just psychology as a whole could really help, push our society forward also. Because there's instances like where it's like, okay, there's a lot of broken homes or like issues where it's like, the parents might divorce or everything, and it might be single mother like type home. There's a chance of like without a father in the household could really bring about depression. The kids are more likely to go to prison, and things of that nature. And then it's just like, it's just being present parents within our children's life also is very, very crucial in terms of really like, improving the culture as a whole. Because like it's gonna be hard for us to really improve as a culture. It all starts at the household. America at its base is the household, and it's just like, they don't focus on the African Americans and the minority races because they just want to fill up those prisons anyway. They want
exactly prison to pipeline.
Yeah, the Ritalin on the kids. Ritalin on the kids for ADHD or whatever, which really isn't even an illness or a mental condition, unless it's like really, really, really bad. But even as a kid, I used to think I have like ADHD, but really you just weren't like, stimulated by the class. When you're a boy, children, you're sitting down, boys are filled with like testosterone. They want to go out, they want to play kickball, they want to play football, they want to sit down in class all day. Females can do that a little bit easier, because the estrogen will maybe calm them down just a little bit. But as like a boy's child and everything, you got to find a way to like be present in the class so you can compete. But instead, they want to put you on medication and everything. Dr. Umar spoke about a lot of those situations, and it's just like, when we start talking about like, dang, I used to be caught up in that same situation. It's like we really got to be mindful as a people. Gladly, my parents were a little bit more well versed in the medical type situation to know like there's nothing wrong with my son. There ain't no It's just really just being a boy, really.
It's part of growing up.
Yeah, it's just that hypervigilance they try to do just to get you stuck up in this system. So it's like at least a lot of us kids that are actually born in this country that kind of see the system firsthand and the type of wickedness they try to instill on all of us and everything. Let that be a lesson to learn so we can actually learn to not better work for our people here, but also back in Africa too. Because there's two systems now. Two systems here where they keep us exploited here on the American soil, and there where they try to exploit us of our resources there in Liberia. And it all starts from like when we have self-hatred and a lack of pride within ourselves as a whole. Like, what's your stance on that? But keep in mind, we got about like 6 minutes.
Yeah, so that is true. I think here is we're being exploited, sometimes trying to get you set you up and fail. Like what you said, there's a book called Pushed Out where certain things of this it also relates to the school to prison pipeline where Black girls they were specifically addressing Black girls, how like Black girls are being criminalized in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And I had firsthand had experience growing up
Mm.
in the Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania, where I was picked on by a white student, and then when I put her in her place, she started crying and using white girl tears, and then
Mm.
I got in trouble by the teacher, and I said, "Well, she started it," and but then
Mm.
I'm getting in trouble. But she's
Mm.
not, because she's crying and using her white girl tears, or white woman or white girl tears to
Mm.
and playing the victim, so the teacher can feel
Mm.
sorry for her.
Yeah, I know that all too well. Not in the sense of a white woman tears, but there are issues where I was getting picked on in middle school and everything, and people try to set rumors on you or whatever. But then if you react to it, it's like you're a thug. You're an animal. You're a
Yeah.
nigga. They try to wait until like the moment you react to it, and then they try to like put you in this sort of like you're insubordinate. You have anger issues, can't control your emotions, and it's just me constantly trying to fight every statistic because like I had to from adolescence I had to deal with like living like in a single parent household, and on top of that it was just me and my brother. So at the same time it's like I had to be careful how I was acting because then he's right behind me. I can't just be out here acting reckless, putting people down. I had to get into a couple of altercations in my lifetime, but I can like just be angry all the time. I had to actually think about a situation like, is this something I'm gonna really worry about in like 5 years from now? Are these people really, do they pay my bills? Yes or no? I have to really ask myself the mature questions because like really like you're really gonna one day be the patriarch of your family, and you can't do that when you got a record on you, when you're a felon, when you're a statistic. And then it's like they look at your record and then like every time they check my record, I don't even worry about nothing. That's way more than a flex and people are willing to discuss because there are
Exactly.
people who steal. Oh, hey, that's your kid in the background. Okay, that's no problem. But anyway, I have a,
Sorry. No, for that. Go, get out of here. No, go back to go.
hey, tell you
No.
what, since we're close to 4 minutes, I'm gonna just close this early, and we can just hop on in about a couple moments.
Hop on a couple more minutes.
Yeah, because it's like like it's about to get close to the end for this recording
Okay.
session anyway, so we can hop
Okay.
on again. Okay.
And like what, five, give it 5 minutes.
I'll let you know on Instagram. How about that?
Okay, cool.
All right, cool. All right, see you in a little bit.
Okay, see you in a little bit. Bye bye.
And all right, we're back on and everything. Here with Say. I know you like to speak about more about your issues that you had to deal with in regards to relations in between your peer group of different backgrounds. I know you were speaking about like how you had to really put this one girl in her place when she was overstepping her boundaries, and like how she was pretty much using her tears for the sake of getting sympathy, whatever, which is a power. A lot of people don't realize that within society to make you out like you're the bad person. Could you go into discussion about how like they tried to punish you in regards to like
Okay, so it was second grade. So from my understanding, from what I remember, she was teasing people and picking on people. She was saying, I know it sounds so childish, but she was saying somebody picked their nose. This is second grade, so of course
yes sir,
this is a little juvenile.
yeah, juvenile, ain't no wrong.
Yes, and picking people's nose, and she's saying that people pick this off. She said, I pick my nose. It's like, I don't pick my nose. And then I went on to say, that's why you got a pink slip for being bad. So then she went to the teacher and cried because I said that. And then I
Mm-hmm.
told the teacher, like, she told me that I pick my nose and I don't. And then
Mm-hmm.
the teacher was very dismissive,
Oh yeah.
and she didn't want to hear my side of the story. So she said, go flip your card. So I had to go flip my card.
Dang. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's some stuff, man. I went to like a Catholic school in elementary school. So it's like, most of my friends, for some reason, because it's like a lot of African parents want to put their kids in Catholic or private schools and everything at first. Like, I know my friend, Boris Tope, I think he was from Boris T and them. I think he was from, where was he from? I think it was like Senegal or something like that. It was something, and like one of my friends right there was named Giorgio Benyon. And he was Liberian like me, which was crazy. I thought I was like the only Liberian within a square radius and everything. I thought I was like the only one. So it's like for him to be there was like, it was crazy and whatnot. But it's like yeah, in terms of discrimination, yeah, I've had my share of discrimination through elementary school, middle school, a little bit
Mhm.
in high school. It just took a different form each time. Like when you
Mhm.
were young and everything, racism, you don't really see a whole lot of that when you're like a kid, but you start noticing certain trends. In this case, in elementary school, a lot of the times it would take all the black kids out from the classroom and put them by themselves. Like in this one other class, where all we do is just play board games and like while all our other peers are advancing and learning what they got to learn, we're separated from them just to sit down in that class, just so they can say like, "Oh, we're not gaining the material, we're not catching on as much." They literally singled us out just to sit there, and I thought we were like special. I thought, "Oh wow, wow, we're cool," but they would always do that. I never thought anything of it as a kid and everything until later. I look back like, wow, they really had to hold us
Mhm.
back just so they can give us candy and everything and do all this other stuff. It wasn't even stuff that we're supposed to be doing for the help with our grade. It was just sitting there doing nothing. Like they were paying this person for nothing.
Yeah, yeah, and I believe it. I believe it. And again, going back to like where I live in the Pocono Mountains, they will. It's like they will only select a few black children and push them, and the other ones they didn't because they didn't want to. It looks like they didn't want to see black people or people of color advance
Mhm.
or even be more advanced than the white students.
Yeah, man.
That
It
that's
was just
another thing that I observed,
yeah, they were
from
always
living
like
here.
they're always like hyper vigilant over every little thing that you were doing, just so they can flip it
Mhm.
over and be like, "Oh yeah, that's typical," or "Oh yeah, you do
Mhm.
this, you do that," and
Mhm.
everything. You can just be just a boy's kid, just laughing with your friends, and it was always like overly pressed for like, "Oh, like he's like there's something wrong with him." It was like, no, he's a freaking kid. And everything. So it's just like my little cousins are going to be going through elementary school and everything. A lot of them are pretty young right now. Some of them 5, 6 years old, some a little bit older and everything. I always have to mind out like for a lot of them and everything because like some of them ain't got their fathers in their life either. So like sometimes I'm like the only like positive real male role model, which is crazy. God, this age, that's how you know you're getting old. Like wow, you're like a really like a role model in a sense
Right.
to really just like like be there for them and everything. It's just like it's just I'd be very protective over my children and when it comes to situations like that because it's more than just like a misunderstanding. It's literally systematic. Like they're trying to
Yes.
put it instill in you at a young age that you're incompetent, that you're incapable and everything, so you can carry that thought process within your whole life. And then I
Mhm.
used to be thinking I was incompetent until I went to an HBCU
No.
and I got the help that I needed. And they don't give you like help like they're gonna like give you like handouts and nothing. No, they just give you the resources you need to succeed, and then you
There
like
you
can go
go.
about it and everything. So it's like when I really rep HBCUs heavy and everything, to think like they really changed my whole outlook on myself as a student and as an individual. And all I had to be there was like there for like a couple years. I took an
Mhm.
extra year because I didn't want to leave and everything because it's just like my whole life you gotta understand it's just like I was always on the back burner when it came to stuff. It's because of situations like that because they don't want to see black boys succeed. They want us to struggle. They want us to be a statistic, and that's like
Mhm.
everything.
Mhm.
And it's so sad. It's good that we're having conversations like because people need to hear about stuff like that.
Absolutely. And then we have my husband and I, we have a black son.
Yeah.
We have a son, and and that's why like I'm so grateful for my husband. He has his my son has his dad. My son has my husband. So, I'm happy about that. And on top of that, there's other male figures. He has my dad, his grandfather, and
Mhm.
have uncles and male cousins and so forth. So like that, that really, really makes me feel happy to see
Oh,
that.
oh yeah, sure. It takes a village, man. It
Oh
takes a
yes, it takes a
village.
village.
You cannot forsake the child at all and to any degree because like it could literally get to a situation where it's like like there's this one situation like this one Liberian kid I knew in Charlotte and everything. We knew him from like the cookouts and everything. He was just a smart mouth type of kid, whatever. So it's like
Hmm.
he had the makings of a great leader because that's how they all start. They start these mouthy smart mouth kids and then they get humbled over time and they learn like how to use that. That's the class clowns. Those are the most intelligent kids in the class, whether people understand or not,
That's true.
and everything. But sadly, in his case, I don't know what happened in the term going forward, but it's just he's trying to join gangs and stuff. He's doing all this other crazy stuff. He got to a point where it's like to try and prove that he was a part of this gang and everything. He killed like one person that was like my other cousin and everything, literally. And dude was like really just trying to chaperone for his brother's party event. It's like, no, we can't let all these group of kids in here, only you, because we only knew you. And that was it. Dude just had an issue with it and just shot him cold. That was it. Someone that he knew since you were a kid. You shot him, and now he's in prison right now, just rotting and everything for no reason. And it's just like all this stuff happened. Why have we reached this point? And it's just like, we really, as Liberian kids specifically, we're going to go through a stage in life of decline, some type of decline, whether if it's financial decline, educational decline, spiritual decline, social decline. We're going to decline somehow. But if we can also overstep those declines and actually become something much, much better in everything. And I feel like SML missed out on really rediscovering himself as an individual. And that's one of the saddest parts about this situation. Oh, snap. Well, that's my friend Brandon. Hold on, let me just let him know. Yo, Brandon, you might have to hop on later. Like, I'm in a different podcast episode. Did I say 7 o'clock?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Can you hop on in like maybe another 30 minutes? Will that be a problem?
No, it's all right. That's all right. Go ahead.
All right,
By
cool.
all
Thank
means.
you. I'll see you in 30 minutes. My bad.
No worries. All right.
All
Later,
right.
bro.
All right. Take care. Yeah.
Take
All
care,
right.
man.
All right. So I guess he'll be in the next episode then. He'll be in the next episode. Yeah. So
Hold on. Close the door for Dale.
yeah, he's another guy from college that I knew from college.
Okay, close the door, baby. Thank
Cool.
you.
Yeah, cool guy.
Okay.
It's just I knew him from college and everything. He's really into bodybuilding, so I want to
Okay.
do bodybuilding myself. So it's like that's gonna be. I guess that's the trailer for the next episode. 110 right there. But it's like, yeah, man. It's like for your son specifically, like daughters are very crucial raising daughters and everything because that's a whole lot of generational curses you're breaking just from raising like daughter like the best way possible. But like your son will become the patriarch of the family. Like literally,
Yes.
like everything sets into motion because of your son. Everything from protecting the daughters and everything, it all starts from like how you raise your son to leader, like respect woman, respect himself, or respect society to a degree, but not cater to society and all this type of stuff. It's impossible. And it all comes from just how you raise your son to have pride in himself before it
Yes.
becomes like really him going to counseling for years and years. And it's just like, I don't want to be the type of parent where it's like my kids have to go to counseling because I wasn't responsive to their needs. That's why the stuff I had to face like in this stage now. So it's like, I have to kind of like, you kind of in a sense raise yourself to a certain degree, but you have to be mindful of like just the person you're becoming too at the same token. So it's like, yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm. So it's like on to another subject and everything. I know you say that there's like I know you mentioned before you said that story like how a black woman have a tendency to being criminalized within the classroom or whatnot, or yeah, you want to go into
So
detail about that?
there's a book called Push Out, The Criminalization of Black Girls in Schools,
Mm,
and how you if a black girl acts out and so forth, instead of it seeing as her calling out for help, she automatically is getting reprimanded, or
mm,
like, especially in going back to what I stated before, my experience, there's truth to that. It's true because sometimes it's like your needs aren't met or you're being ignored, or
mm,
it's like the way how you behave is because, oh yeah, you just want to be deviant or you want to be
mm,
degenerate. And like
mm,
that example where when where that incident that happened with me and my classmate where I got in trouble.
mm,
And even back in middle school there was an incident with my black classmates, myself, and then there was this particular white girl. When we was on the snack line, she like shoved me or whatnot, or she
mm.
pushed me because I was in her way. And I said, you don't push me. Don't you dare push me. Do not push me. So then to taunt me, she went to her friend and said, push, push, push. And just kept doing that. And then
Yeah.
and I'm like, again, don't do it. And then she said, oh, another jigger from the hood. Yeah,
Wow.
another jigger in the hood. And
Over being
then
shoved in a lunch line, and it's
she
just
had the
like,
nerve to
no,
say
it's more
another
than that.
jigger in the hood from the hood. And again, yeah, I'm from New York or whatever, but I'm from New York, but I come from a decent home. I came from a
Yeah.
decent home. So because I'm black, you assume, or because the way how the Poconos is, that's northeastern Pennsylvania,
Hmm.
and it's not far from like New York City.
Hmm.
It's not far from like metropolitan areas in New Jersey, like Newark, Trenton,
Yeah. Y'all all kind of cooped
Philadelphia.
together in a sense.
So then, because there was some crime going on in New York,
Mhm.
and then there's crime going on in Newark or like Trenton, Philadelphia. So
Philadelphia,
then
yeah.
a lot of people moved over there for, to like have a better life or to raise kids.
Yeah.
So we ended up there, going up there too, moving up there. My parents were tired of living in an apartment building.
Yeah.
So then they went over there. And what, although like I'm glad that we were there for that certain time period
Yeah.
and like childhood, but when we got older, it was time for us to move up out of there, and then we moved to Elizabeth, New Jersey. And at some points, I did live in Charlotte. I attended West Mac High School, so
Okay.
I did live in Charlotte
Yeah, you're
at some
lucky.
point.
You're lucky. I went to Queens Grant, bro. I hated it. You, Jeremy, and Ja'Cory went to West Charlotte. Man, I wish I would have went. I know it might have been a little bit, but at least I would have been more in tune with people that are like me, man. Because it's just like, dude, going to these schools that predominantly West. My school was like, my high school was like it was predominantly white to a certain degree, but then it was also like kind of like they had people straight from the hood too. So it's like it was kind of like you're getting the toxicity from all the people that didn't want to
Mhm,
get bullied at like a regular big school, and the
mhm,
toxicity of the people that were kicked out of the big schools, and then in the middle is just the people that just
mhm,
wanted to just be there because they just didn't want to have to
mhm.
face all the bullying and the issues from different major schools. So
Eh,
it's like yeah, I feel that those environments are crazy.
Exactly. Yeah, and going back to that, so you have and when we first moved up there weren't many black people or people of color, and it was white majority were white people, and again racism, calling people a monkey and so forth, and then my father being racially profiled, stopping
Yeah,
him, the cops stopping him because they see this tall,
yeah.
dark-skinned African man, tall, dark-skinned black man, and then also having an accent, so you're
Yeah.
intimidated, experiencing that whatnot, and saying, calling you the N word and so forth.
They're trying to whisper it under their breath so that
Yes, whispering under their breath or whatnot. So experience. So going back to what happened in middle school. So then I confronted her again when we were in 7A, my friends and I, and she was in no, we were in 7B, and then she was in 7A. So then I confronted her again about it, and then she was started making a big thing out of it. And the teacher was like, "Oh, say just don't go over there." I'm like, "But she started it." But at least my male social studies teacher, he didn't like try to get
how
me in
that.
trouble. So at least I'm glad he didn't this time. He knew what it was, so he didn't try to like reprimand me. But then I saw her again, and then she was with her friends, and then I was with my friends, and I came to her and I was like, "You don't push me." And then she's like, "Oh, the reason why I push you because you're in my way." I was like, "The correct way if somebody's in your way, the
You say
correct way is to
excuse me,
say excuse me
or
or
pardon
excuse
me,
me."
like
And then yeah, say excuse me, and I would have stepped away from your
yeah,
way. You
man.
don't push me because I'm in your way. And then that's the thing, it's the same, this white privilege thing, or you think because you're white
You
or
can
you're a
do
white woman, you
whatever
can just say whatever you want to say.
and not
And I'm
have no
beneath, but
repercussions for it.
it clearly showed that she feels that black people are beneath her. And
Yeah.
it's not even her, it's like many other white people, not saying all, but there are many white people who have that kind of ignorant mentality as well.
And because they were raised to be that way. They were
Yes.
raised to some degree and everything. When you're raised with
Yes.
certain ideology, you're gonna carry it to some degree or another. And it's just like, like I had to deal with a lot of that in middle school too. Like I remember my first day in middle school, it was crazy. Like, cause it was just like, cause my mom sent me to this area, South Side Charlotte, Ballantyne area,
Yeah, I'm familiar.
plantations area. So it's like you already know where the story's headed. It's a predominantly white school, and it wasn't bad. The first 2 years it got hectic eighth grade. That's when the stuff really blew over. But it was kind of manageable for like you're gonna have issue, but it was manageable. Like see, like my first day, I remember like they had us playing a game called Four Corners. I spoke about this on another episode of the podcast too. Seriously, and it's like I think I got out, but it's like I was trying to be like a class clown, nothing too big. Like I still kept playing. I
Mhm.
didn't sit down. It was like people just thought it was kind of funny or whatever. But then the other white kids started. This one white dude kept like copying what I was doing. Which was like, whatever. I didn't fret about it. I didn't care. Because it's like, it's all fun. Just have fun. That's like my philosophy. I don't sit down. Tell me why when we end up in the same corner, dude just told me to sit down. And he was out too. Just like I was. And everything. And it's like, yeah, this dude, I'm like, yeah, T, sit down. And I'm like, who are y'all people? Like, I don't know y'all from nowhere.
I understand.
This same dude, I had no classes with him, nothing. Dude was hefty, talking all types of slick stuff for no reason. Like, why are you so focused on some dude that has nothing to do with you? Like, I found that kind of like creepy and
Yeah,
everything.
weird.
Because it's like you're a boys' kid, you're focused on girls. You shouldn't be like focused on like another dude you have nothing to do with and everything. So a lot of that, started a little counterculture against me for others. So like some people, if you knew me personally, you knew I just want to laugh and have fun. But then there was that other side where they had issues for me with like no reason and everything. And it would manifest in different ways and everything from me creating enemies out of nowhere. And like, this stretched over to like the eighth grade. This time I remember it like it was yesterday because it was so insane. Like I went to the bathroom. My class actually moved forward, but it's like it was in between lunch and I really had to go. And as I was washing my hands, I dried it. I was about to step out the door, and as soon as I opened this door, these two guys, one really really short kid, and then this other kid, I don't even know he was in. I didn't even know he was in my class at all, and everything. And it's just like they're always talking slick stuff, whatever. What I just ignore it because it's like I'm not around you. I don't know you. What do you want? And everything. I open the door. Usually people say excuse me when they're about the path. Like in your situation, this situation, they just barged into me, like shoulder block into me as I was opening the door. And I was the one being polite as I am because that's just how I was raised. Is to say excuse me, whatever. I was oh excuse me, sorry, my bad, and walked on. From then on, that started a rumor saying that I was like a molester, and that carried on to saying that
Wow.
carry on that I was gay just because of that. Just that.
Oh my God.
It was so torturous, man. That was like one of the lowest points of my life because that stretched on for a whole year. My mom made me go the whole year with all this stuff going on and everything. It was just so insane. One day I'll be able to speak about it more prevalently, but that's why it's good to protect your sons, man, because we need to be protected too because it's us versus
Absolutely.
and they try to cut you down at such a young age, and it was just so crazy. I always think about like what could have I done to avoid that situation? What could have I done? It was just nothing I could do because unless I knew that they were gonna come to that door, if I knew that they were gonna say this, if I had any friends, I would just be like, no, he's not like that. Why would you say that? But everyone just kind of jumped on with it. And that just carried on to so many other things because of that. So, it was very depressing for me. But it just makes you stronger to actually think more prevalently. The guy that actually originally started that rumor and everything, literally he was in prison, like he was in jail multiple times for assault and
There you
everything,
go.
trying to trying to shoplift and everything. And his other friend was like, trying to boost cars and everything. So it's just like I've never been arrested a day in my life because
Good.
I just try to work hard and everything. Because
Yes,
like a lot of people, it kind of ruins their life and everything. And I don't want to be a statistic. I
I
want to
know.
work hard. If I ain't got the money for it now, I'll just wait until it's my time. And now I'm about to start my new job with Novon Health, and on the top of that, I got a part-time job for Capital Vacations. I'm about to work on try to see if I can get a third job. All I do is work hard.
Congratulations. That's good to
Always.
know in your success.
Yeah, keep that in mind. So it's like I can really understand where you're coming from with a lot of this
Mhm.
discrimination that a lot of us had to face at a young
Oh
age.
yeah. Oh yeah. And T, I love my black people. I
Yeah.
love my fellow black people, but I'm gonna have to like there's certain experience. Not only did I experience racism,
No.
but growing up in the Poconos, I experienced anti-blackness with my fellow black and brown people.
Hey, man, you're preaching the choir right
So
here. Go on, your
so
testimony.
okay, so I know in middle school, and I guess people tease and young, but I'm gonna just say explain like I went through colorism and I understand like I'm not trying to say that because I'm brown skinned. I guess to Black American standard, I will be medium to dark brown. To African or Liberian standard, I'll be light brown to medium brown.
And it
Okay.
doesn't matter. That's the thing. Everyone's just different. Who
Yeah.
cares? White people never got to worry about stuff like
Yeah.
that.
So I experienced that, but more so growing up in the Poconos, in middle school I experienced featureism where I
Mm,
was being called monkey.
dang.
because of my Afrocentric features or
Mm,
whatnot. I was called a monkey. I was like, oh, they were, referring me to an animal, to a monkey.
mm,
When I ape, I was called ugly. Oh, she's mad ugly. She's ugly. She's ugly. Things like
uh,
that.
and
And
now you have a husband and a son. So it's like
exactly.
it makes you
And
wonder.
let me tell you something. Those same people, that saying would say that some of those guys, they follow me on social media, and then
Hmm.
they like my pictures.
Of course.
And some of those same girls who call me those names, oh, he's like, oh, they tell me, oh, you look so beautiful, you look pretty. That's the funny part. And and not to say like, yeah, not to say like, yeah, there were people who did, try to approach me, guys who approached you, or people complimenting me, but there was those few people who would make their colorist, their
Remarks.
featurist, texturist remarks, call you nappy head and things like that. And I'm not trying to get on my brothers, my black brothers, but and then my friends and other black girls coming up over there can attest that, unfortunately some of our black brothers, will make those comments, or they say they would prefer this type of
Yeah.
look over, they want a white woman, or they want a racially ambiguous
Yeah, no,
woman,
I
or
heard
they,
that one time,
or they
even
want
in
like
college.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, like I overheard like one of my friends like saying something like, "Oh yeah, dude, she looks so beautiful, man. She looks damn near white." And I'm like, "What does that have to do with anything?" Like even in my head, I'm like, "What? If you like someone, it's because you like them, not because of like whether it's Eurocentric or not." I had to deal with that too and everything. My first taste of colorism and everything wasn't until I was called darker skin on the bus and everything and everything. The lighter skin guys and everything were all like praised and like put on a pedestal and everything. It's just like whatever, that's cool and everything. But I was always had to make felt bad because I was darker skinned or because I was African or saying like, oh yeah, you're too dark and everything. I know like in my case, because like a lot of mono people have like kind of sleepy, droopy eye. They got a little bit of some color over their eyelids a little bit, pigmentation.
Mhm.
Which isn't bad. It's whatever. That's just how we look like. But
Exactly.
but they would pick on me saying, referring to me as like a raccoon and everything because of that. And I'm just like, what? I thought it was kind of clever because I thought it was different. Usually people just go like, oh, because you're fat or you're ugly, but they never really go into detail as to why and everything. It was just so strange to me. And it's just like, why you have to stare at someone that you think that they're so ugly? I'm just saying, you don't look at a roadkill and then look at, oh wow, I'm gonna stare at it all day. And it's just like, wow,
Yeah.
something else I don't like.
Yeah, people are just people are something, experiencing. And yes, and I will say like there are some black women or black girls over there who are colorist to dark skinned
Yeah.
black guys. I'm like, you're dark too, so why are you calling him, dissing him up, or bashing his
For being
complexion,
darker
or
skinned.
yeah, or why? And then, or you're a dark skinned male, why are you harassing her about her skin color?
And if you don't, you can like whatever you like and
Yeah.
everything, but it's
Hmm.
just like, to actually put it into context, actually like trying to bash someone because you don't like a certain aspect of them, all it does is say that you might have some kind of attraction, but you might not like the aesthetic
Yeah.
that it comes with. Because especially in this generation, we're so focused on image and what somebody looks like and makes it.
Superficial.
So like seeing things like, oh, I got a light skinned girlfriend, oh, because I got all the juice or I'm a Mac or whatever, and it don't matter and
Doesn't
everything.
matter.
It's just like it really doesn't. It's just like I feel like that carries on like later on in our
Hmm.
lifestyle where we start to appreciate people for their personality,
Personalities.
who they are, just their
Hmm.
sense of style. Because you can have a fine, beautiful woman or like a really handsome dude, but if they're like egotistical, childish, incapable of communication, things of that nature, that stuff like that will turn you off because it's just like you can't help but see trauma because it all leads to trauma. It all starts with those type of character types.
Exactly. And then I have to thank my parents for like, they, because I know some households, they're so big on colorism or so big on a complexion.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just grateful that they weren't the focus. Yeah, they will speak words of affirmation
Mm-hmm.
to us, to my siblings and I, but there was more so looking at like your personality, how you treat your fellow man, and how well we did in school or whatnot, like us, like reward us for like doing well in school,
Yeah.
for like also helping out in a household. And then my, and also my father, called referred to us as beautiful, my beautiful daughters, and so forth. So that's why I'm so grateful that I had that in the household, because I don't know if I wasn't raised by a black man, an African man who, who didn't think like who wasn't a colorist. I don't know I don't know where I would be. I don't know how I would feel about myself. So I'm just grateful that I had parents who who spoke words, affirmation to us.
Yeah, and that's the thing, bro. Like even Africa, bro, they don't care about stuff like that. Like I got family of all types of complexions. Like my auntie's like a caramel lighter skin, my mom's a darker skin type of woman, and it's just like everyone's just different and everything. Even my dad's kind of like a lighter shader than like my mom in a sense, because he has a little bit of some Arabian in his family a little bit and everything. So he has like certain like characteristics that might be of Libyan and whatnot, distant Libyan type stuff. But it's like even my dad didn't care about things like that. Like it didn't matter. It was just about just trying to build a life with somebody, and then that's just is someone else
Exactly.
culture. But at the same token, it was just like obviously you're going to be attracted to who you're attracted to, but a lot of like who like people think that they're attracted to is based on what the media might.
Yeah, this what the so-called standard of beauty is. That's all.
And now they're trying to push it a little bit more. I don't know what market they are, because I know you see them stuff like Black Panther. Nobody had a wig, nobody had a weave. Everybody just had cornrows or cut their hair really, really short. It was all natural and everything. Now we're going to get another Black Panther movie coming up pretty soon. Are you going to take your son to go see that? The next Black Panther movie coming up?
Yeah, we will. Most likely we will, or we'll probably wait till comes out on DVD. But last weekend I did see Woman King and so forth.
Oh, how'd you like that? How you like the movie?
Yeah, it was a good movie. I know there's controversies behind that movie, but I enjoyed it.
Okay.
The woman warrior looked beautiful to me, as well as the king's wives, beautiful. And it was a beautiful representation of sub-Saharan African people or Black people as a whole.
Oh, so they had polygamy in the movie too?
Yeah, they had that.
But it wasn't like, crazy or anything.
It wasn't crazy. I don't want to
society. It was just
I don't want to spoil everything, but it's just pretty much ancient Africa, what you expect. Something when you like, it's more so the scenery is set up in ancient Africa, so you will see things like that. But with the polygamy, it wasn't crazy or
it wasn't bad. It was like it was more respected back then. It wasn't really much of an issue. I mean, I don't mind monogamy by a degree or anything. That's what a majority of a lot. But considering how the climate of how things are even nowadays, like Black masculinity down and everything, there's so few Black men that are viable for a lot of Black women. Because there's also types of different people, whether they like Black women, they want to be married to a Black woman, and there's so many just different aspects. Which I know there's plenty of men who would. But it's just at the same token, it's like it seems like as the years go on, it seems to be slimming a lot more. Would polygamy be like such a like outwardly thing? I mean, they can get two guys to get married to each other, which is like whatever. That's their business. But at the same token, why is polygamy just so taboo still?
I mean, again, this is a different time period. So I mean, some people do it, it's done. Um, I guess it's maybe looking for, I guess with the whole polygamy thing, some people feel some kind of way about it, having more than one wife. And then instead of just having that one wife, you have multiple wives. And I'm looking at it as like being in that type of marriage is like, can you for okay
with all the emotional
can you handle it, like can you handle it in modern times? Because honestly, like I know like that's not a polygamous marriage, but he's not married to none of them. But Nick Cannon and his multiple children that he's having, like all of them are like 1 month apart. Some of the children are like 1 month or 2 weeks apart. But my thing is you have all those children. However, when they get older, when there's football games or dance recitals or things like that, or graduations, can you make it to all of them? So how you can't be you can't be at so many places that you can't be so many places at the same time. So how is that gonna work out? So like it might sound good to some people, but when it comes like, and people say, oh, he's rich, he has money. I'm like, yeah, he might have money, but when it comes to like spending time with those children, how's he gonna balance all that?
Really trying to get their values for each child, really trying to manage everyone's personality. Because it's like even like with serial killers like Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer and everything, you got to keep in mind that their parents was not that active. Even the thing is, they'd be like, "Oh no, he was just fine," but it's like, "Are you sure?" and everything. And then like his father, like Jeffrey Dahmer's father, is something else, man. Cause he'll get on talk shows like, "Oh yeah, he used to play with like like dead animal bones sometimes. But I just thought that maybe he was just playing, and I'm like, what? I mean, I don't know, man. It's just like there's a whole lot of situation like really focusing on like managing a human being and their development going forward. Because maybe in another universe, Jeffrey Dahmer could have been like a really good surgeon or something like that, or would have been someone
That's
that
true.
trying to cure cancer. But it's like all that expertise was redistributed in regards to such heinous acts and stuff of that nature. So it's just like it really makes you think, it's just like is having a child just as easy like that for real? Because it's like there's so many stuff. Just having money isn't everything. There's also you have to really, really focus on certain habits that they build and everything. Really, whether they can be able to respond to certain situations a certain way. Really building on them as a human being. That's a whole citizen you're creating right there. A whole human being. They're gonna have their own values and everything moving forward. It's just really just a matter of them keeping on the righteous side of things. But it's I feel we spoke on a whole lot of matters, and since we only got about a couple 5 minutes and everything, is there anything is there anything else that you want to clear up before we pass on? Or are there any last words you want to know?
Again, I just want everybody to continue to walk in their path, like whatever calling, whatever gift that they have, use it. And if you aren't there yet, speak to a mentor, connect with somebody who can push you, who can encourage you. So I just ask that people can work toward their calling, whatever gifts, whatever the purpose is, act on it.
Oh yes, most definitely. Couldn't have said it better, man. I'm actually glad I really hopped on with you. This is a really, really good
Thank you.
conversation and everything.
Thank
The
you.
whole podcast situation. I just got off work. I'm like, dang, like, could I really do a podcast today and everything? So I be forgetting like I can really do it off Zoom a little bit more often. I'm trying to hit 150 episodes. So I'm 40. I think after you, there'll be 41 episodes away from reaching that goal. So it's like I'm really
Sounds good.
yeah. I try to set goals.
Sounds
I'm
good.
really goal orientated when it comes to this thing. Hopefully one day this could be set on, or I could be able to put it to the forefront where like thousands of people can probably listen to it. As long as I have a whole lot of content, I feel like people can fall into it. Because like hearing from y'all perspectives, especially other Liberian kids, it really does paint a bigger picture that a lot of people don't realize is there. So it's like, yeah, I feel that.
Yes. And also, everyone, I published 2 books. The book I published, Hidden Commonalities, Identifying Cultural Similarities Among Africans and African Descendants, as well as Unraveling the Story of Black African Here. Those books are available at www.sayecarrie.com. That's SAYECARRIE.com, as well as major booksellers such as Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Wonderful. I wish you would have let it. We would have spoke more about them books. All right, it's no problem. We can speak about it at the next season. You trying to drop another book in the future, possibly?
Most definitely will be doing that.
Okay, most definitely. Okay, at least we got another thing looking for season 3. If I had known that you had to drop 2 books, I would have been speaking about that the whole time. But hey, a good conversation is a good conversation, man. But anyway, thank you for speaking on your book and everything. That's it for the Mental Threats Podcast, episode 109. We sewn in and now we're sewing out. So okay, that's it.